Alright, so now that we're about to work on the truck, the first thing you got to do is loosen your petcock on your radiator to drain all your antifreeze. Because as soon as you pull in the injectors, all that antifreeze is going to pour into your cylinder, which is going to happen with the oil and fuel in there anyways. So there's like a trick that we're going to show you behind that to make sure you don't hydro lock your motor. Other than that, we're going to jump under the truck and loosen the petcock, let the antifreeze drain. And then once that drains, we're going to start tearing apart the charge pipes and the air box and get down to the valve covers, and then we'll go from there. Hold on. Where is it? Hang on a second. It broke. And then if you open the reservoir, it's gonna flow faster because you're letting it breathe. So here's the petcock bolt. It's plastic, that's why it broke. There's an Allen screw hole in it, and where it broke, I was lucky enough to be able to put an Allen wrench in the broken piece down there and still get it to screw loose. I will have to figure out something to put in there, but in the meantime I'll just have to tighten that one back in with the Allen wrench and hope I can get it out next time. So as the antifreeze drains, we can come over here and start by taking the top of the air box off, the air filter off, the tubing to the air intake and the air side of the turbo. All these clamps are held on there with an 8mm. So you just go ahead and loosen them all up. So now there's just the two little clips on both sides. And then just wiggle this little pipe off. Should also wiggle off this side. And then you can just go ahead and set this aside. And then the top of the airbox should just come right off. There's these three little grooves that click into there. You just take the air filter out too, just so it don't get dirty, even though it's already dirty. Alright. And then I believe there's another 8mm bolt right here that holds this little thing to the bracket. And then this little green vacuum hose just pulls right out of there. Just like that. There is also your crankcase ventilation that hooks up to there. Also 8mm. I'm just gonna, it is right there. Here, let me get a light down there. Crankcase ventilation is this box right here. You got your tube and then your clamp right there. So that's 8mm. We're just gonna get there. And Christian, if you can get in that turbo right there,
I see it.
that is why we're replacing that turbine, because that is eating up. Now we're gonna go ahead and take the charge pipe off. There we go. Next thing we're going to do is unhook the main electrical harness here. It's a 10mm bolt. Alright, and once you get to a certain point, it should just pull apart. Just like that. There's a little pin right here. Just push it down and slide it forward, and then it actually slides back through out of the way. This whole bracket right here will come off when you take the valve cover off. You also got to take the ventilation crankcase off, I believe. All right, screw it off. It'll just pop right up. And then the valve cover bolts are 13 millimeters. Alright, so now that we pulled the valve cover itself off, we're going to work on the valve cover gasket. There's just, on the driver's side, there's the electrical that hooks into the valve cover gasket, because the injector wires and glow plug wires are actually ran through the valve cover gasket. So it is a little different than most. And then on the driver's side, there is another electrical on the inside, and that will just clip off too. And then just carefully work the valve cover gasket around it and out, because these are designed to be reusable. So all you're going to do is wipe off both sides, clean them up, clean up the mating surface on your head, and clean up the mating surface on your valve cover itself. And then once you're done, you're going to put them all back on and reuse the valve cover, as long as no pins are burnt. So you got to check your pins in here, make sure you have no burnt pins, because that'll be a bad valve cover gasket. And then other than that, set it aside.
The fun part.
Yep, get your electrical just tucked out of the way here quick. So now all these wires are still in the way. These clips aren't that hard. You just get a little screwdriver. Flathead would work better, but I don't have one next to me. Now that they're all popped loose, you just wiggle it, and the clip should come right out. Now that all the injectors are unplugged, you got your glow plug wires. If you grab them and just wiggle them, should pop off your glow plug. Otherwise, a needle nose pliers works really good to grab them and pull them off too. So once all your wiring is out of the way and set aside, then all you're going to do is take off this little 10 millimeter bolt down here. Move the light too. You're good. This little 10 millimeter bolt right down here on the bottom of the clip. You're just going to remove that one and back it all the way out in the clip. That will free the clip up to slide up. And then second, you're going to want to take off this Allen screw right here that holds this oil deflector cap on, because once you start prying on it, there's a good chance that oil deflector cap will break. So let's pop it off before that happens. If you have a pry bar, it's going to work better than just a flathead screwdriver. but I was able to get a flathead screwdriver to work last time, so it is doable. I'm going to do it again just because I still have not purchased myself handy dandy pry bar. Otherwise, all you do is slide this clip up. You got to make sure that clip stays slidden up. Get your pry bar underneath the clip. Big metal clip. So I've heard people say that these clips can break. They are pretty thick. I feel like if you got to pry it that hard for it to break, there was something wrong in the first place. Anyways, get right underneath the center. Make sure it's still slid all the way forward. Make sure all your wires out of the way so you're not going to break it. And just give it a good couple pries in a couple different spots. And it should loosen up and pop out of there. And then if you can get a shot in there, that's all the extra fuel and oil and antifreeze that was in the cylinders. It all drains to the bottom inside of your cylinder. And if you don't actually, if that doesn't have a way to escape, you're actually going to hydro lock your motor. So we're going to show you a quick trick while the injectors are out to make that a lot easier to deal with. So now we're going to go set these injectors to the side. Now that all the injectors are out of the way, so with all that fluid that just leaked down into the cylinders after every time you pulled the injectors out, you got way too much fluid in the cylinders. So if you put the injectors back in and don't make an escape path for all that fluid in there, it will create too much pressure and essentially hydro lock your motor. Because we're taking the glow plugs out while the injectors are out, so it's the easiest. Glow plugs are right here where my finger is. I don't know if it'll focus on it. Try to get more lighting on there. So right there, you see the tip of the little nipple right there. So that's the glow plug. There's actually a 10 millimeter head on that. So you just take 10 millimeter socket and ratchet and just loosen them up. Them also should not be very tight. And then just take them all the way out, clean them up, set them aside, and you will not put them back in until after you put the injectors back in and purge your cylinders. And that will be in our next video when we do the reinstallation. So make sure you guys go hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell button, stay notified to our videos, because like we said before, we're going to keep on pushing these videos out. And we hope they're helpful to you, and not only helpful, but interesting as well. Alright, so now that it's out, you just kind of got to fish it out of there because you don't have much room. But they do come out. So here's your glow plug. You're just going to want to clean that up and set it aside. Okay, so now we're going to pull the sleeves, the injector sleeves, out of the injector bores, so we can clean the bores and replace the sleeves and hopefully get rid of that fuel and the antifreeze little ordeal that we're having. Start off by getting a tool like this. I believe they make a different method of pulling these out, but I'm not fully aware on what that is. Anyways, this one, if you take a penny and just drop it in there, like so, it'll cover the hole so you won't get any of the metal shavings from this puller in your cylinder. So now that you did that, you're just gonna make sure this bolt right here is all the way up on it. And you're gonna stick this right in there, and it should fit pretty snug. It's just gonna be a 14 millimeter, and you're just gonna start tightening it until you bottom it out into that injector sleeve bore. That squeaking is it actually cutting grooves into the injector sleeve itself. So you just keep tightening it until you feel it bottom out. Turn it back half crank is to make it easier to get the sleeve off of this tool once it's out. So now you take this bolt and you run it all the way to the bottom. And then a 19 millimeter socket, long socket, will go right over that first one and go right onto that nut that you tightened all the way to the bottom. And then you just want to start tightening it, and eventually it'll, oh, yep. See, now that it's starting to pull the cup, you can hear the fluid draining. That's all the antifreeze that was behind that cup. So now that it should just pull right out with your sleeve attached, just like that. See how clean and dry that is. You want to get them very clean, otherwise you're probably gonna have another leak. So we got two tools here that we're using. One of them being this little wire brush, fits perfectly down in there. And then this one cleans up a little bit of the stuff afterwards. You want to get your Loctite 620. It's high temp, high strength, retaining compound. Now you take your cup with the Loctite on the bottom of it, very carefully put it down there. Your tool should line up. You should feel it go into the hole. And then, so now we have all four injector sleeves in the driver's side of the 7.3 PowerStroke. We also got our Loctite 620 spread around the top of the injector sleeve, and then we also have a nice bead of it going around the very bottom of the injector sleeve to hopefully make that seal so we don't have this fuel and the antifreeze problem again. We're going to call it a wrap for tonight since it is getting late. Make sure you guys go hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. Gamer Gang out. Thank you guys for the watch.